is exactly what I see in my mind when I sing it. So there's, it's funny because it's like completely descriptive, but nobody knows what it's about.
It speaks for itself. He is the one, he is the only Chris Ballew.
Da, 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 da. I gotta write my own intro music. Da, 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 da. There we go.
God,
that's
perfect.
It.
How are you, Chris?
I'm really, really good. I'm having a great creative day in the studio. Just rewrote all the lyrics to an old song, and I think I made it better.
Oh, great. That's awesome. I was going to go into your creative process, but I mean, I guess we could talk about it now. For you, Chris, is there a thing that happens in your brain or in the multisphere? Like, do you hear music first, melodies? What normally comes more naturally for you?
Boy, it's all over the map, which I bet a lot of people say, but it's sort of intuitive. I always have my radar mind on and ready to receive. And I have a lot of instrumental bits and pieces on my computer, and I'll just sometimes put them on and just see what grabs my attention, see what, sets off a little vision in my brain, and then just open up a track and improvise, just, sing ridiculous stuff that doesn't make any sense. And then sometimes I find little parts, oh, that ties together. And then there's an intention that's hidden in there that I can kind of pull out. And that's the music I'm doing now. Like when I did the President stuff and the Casper Baby Pants stuff, that was way more narrative, story-oriented stuff. Now I'm writing much more abstract, kind of intuitive, impressionistic lyrics and music. So I'm always scooting around in different ways, getting inspiration from all sorts of places. Sometimes my wife says something silly, and I'll just be like, "That's a song."
Now, does she get a credit? Are you like, you're all the credits now? Okay.
Oh, perfect. Totally. Yep. She's like the Ringo in the house. Ringo was the one apparently who said, it's been a hard day's night, or he said tomorrow never knows, and so she's my Ringo. She says
I love it. Things. And a very great Ringo impression as well.
So. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. See you around the clubs. Okay, so I was gonna pivot a little bit because this is how I actually wanted to start, and then we'll circle back to music. But I saw that you recently became addicted to watching old episodes of Let's Make a Deal. Is this a thing?
Yeah. I'm 57 years old, and I was born in 1965. So in the mid 70s, I was 8, 9, 10 years old, watching TV during the day, on the weekends. And Let's Make a Deal was. Do you even know what that is? I don't know. Once when I put it up on Instagram, all of a sudden I realized nobody knows what this is.
Well, they have the new version now with Wayne Brady and Jonathan Mangum, who actually we had Jonathan on here not too long ago. So I'm a big fan, of course.
Oh, okay. So it is in the pop culture zeitgeist and all that.
That it is.
Yeah, it's an amazing, like watching these people try to decide how to manage a decision when they don't understand the two halves of the decision. It's like a human experiment in like control and frustration.
I feel like during these crazy whatever years, the past couple of years, I got really big into watching like old game shows as well. So really? For me, it was Match Game 74. There's nothing better. Just
wait a minute. Match Game 74, was that with Gene, what was the host name? Did he have the long, thin microphone?
Yes. Yeah. I'm obsessed. And it's still, I don't want to be like, it still holds up, but it holds up enough that like the humor is still there. That never changes. Yeah. It's so fun. It's on Amazon Prime. So if you get a chance to watch, highly recommend. Just super fun.
Wow. You might have opened a Pandora's box now for, I thought maybe I was just limited to Let's Make a Deal, but you got me interested.
Oh no, there is a wide world out there. I think they did like 74 and then 78 was another great year. It's just, so much fun.
Hollywood Squares, that's probably a good watch. And those are great jokes. Paul Lynde in the center square. He's like, ask me how the rat race is going. Ask me.
How's the rat race going?
The rats are winning.
See, I should have worked in my impressions. I didn't know what I was up against here. Ringo or Paul Lynde, are you kidding me? But I think my favorite thing about Match Game is just how cool Betty White has always been. She is just like cut from another cloth. May she rest.
Yeah.
So to pivot again just a little bit, because I tend to pivot. I know a couple weeks ago you were hanging out with the incredibly awesome and incredibly Weird Al.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he's an old friend. I was thinking about it the other day and I found some pictures and I remember this, but I've known Al since he had a mustache and glasses. He doesn't sport that look anymore, but I met him when he was the, original flavored Al back in the early to mid, or I was mid 90s actually. Yeah, he's a great human being. Proud to call him a friend, and we've stayed good buddies for all these years. And yeah, I got to. He was playing in Seattle. He had this idea. Every time he plays in a city on this tour, he plays a song from a band from that city in the encore. So this time it was Peaches, and he did the bulk of the song, and then I came out for the end part and surprised him. So it was super fun. The place went nuts. I haven't stepped on a stage in that capacity for 7 years, so it was kind of a thrill for me too, to kind of be in that environment again.
I was going to ask if it's like riding a car, but I maybe there's a better way to ask that. Is it like riding a car, being back on stage? It all comes back to you?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's funny though. Right now, I'm kind of considering myself temporarily, possibly retired from performing. During the pandemic, I had to cancel all my gigs. I was doing gigs at the time for little 0 to 5 year old kids and their parents as Casper Baby Pants. I had a lot of gigs on the docket when the pandemic hit, and I was surprised by how relieved I felt and how much less stress was in my life. And I kind of realized, you know what, playing live is like 85% stress. The 15% that is, the point, which is connecting with people, is absolutely out of this world crazy great, which is why you do it. It's like golf, you suck, and then all of a sudden you hit one shot that's like butter and you're like, ah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm running an experiment and giving myself a giant break from it for now, and to see if I miss it. And so far I don't. So I'm digging in the studio. I'm being a studio guy. So
I mean, you know yourself best, and if it, in a couple of years you're like, hey, maybe I want to do this again, it's always going to be right there waiting for you. I
love never say never. That's my favorite saying. So
yeah, I think Justin Bieber invented that, right? Was never say never. No,
I also love oops, I did it again. That's my favorite.
Classic, of course. Well, speaking of new music, I think your album drops tomorrow, right?
That's right. Tomorrow's my. So I'm doing this new music in the it started during the pandemic. I'm making this like kind of psychedelic, funky, droney, dancey, nappy. You should be able to nap to it or dance to it. That's kind
my
of
favorite thing. So you kidding me?
Yeah. Go take a nap dance. Yeah. Yeah. So it's coming out tomorrow. It's my third solo record in this genre or whatever, this style. And I'm super excited. I'm putting out 2 a year, July and January. And I'm looking at my computer here. I've got 80 more songs almost finished. So there's
that's it.
There's going to be a lot more music in this vein coming out in the future. But yeah, Primitive God. I'm excited. Tomorrow's the day.
Congratulations. I feel like we're starting the celebration early. I love the art.
Thank you. That's one of my drawings.
I could tell. Yeah, I love your art as well. And I think it's so cool that you're just kind of able to do it all. I mean, you're doing all of it, which is very, very impressive. And you also sent us your first 2 singles, which were, like you said, I think the way that you described it is absolutely perfect. Super easy to listen to, really fun. I want to know if there's anything in particular that draws you to choose a single, or is it just how you're feeling in a moment?
Oh, yeah. That is interesting because I have 2 helpers with these albums, co-producers. One is Pete Droge, who is a singer-songwriter and had some hits in the 90s. And then the other is Mark Heberlein, good friend of my wife's, who's become my good friend. So Pete and Mark help me with stuff like, I'll send them, when I'm getting ready to make a record, I'll send them what I call the too long album. It's like 20 plus tracks. And then they get it down to maybe 16, and then it's the too long album. And then we get it down to 13. And then they help me in that process. A couple of songs keep floating to the top, like that one is great. You know, if they start talking about the same song as like, you know, feeling good, then my radar goes, or not radar, I just respond like, you know, okay, that's probably a single. I'm not stressing about it too much though, because I'm really treating this phase of my career as like I'm a hobbyist. I'm just really enjoying being in the studio, you know, applying my trade. I'm at the height of my songwriting powers, I think, right now, but I'm not stressed about taking over the world or being a big deal. I'm just doing it in a Zen-like way to make my day better, and then releasing it so that people can enjoy it too. But I'm trying to like manage expectations and just be in the moment and be in the present with it, and see what happens. So picking singles isn't like a nail biter thing. It's just like, oh yeah, that one and that one, obvious.
For sure. It's giving a taste of, you know, what to expect for the album. I totally get that. And I think it's so cool. And I feel like you are just in the most ideal headspace to be in, because music should be about something that we love. Like, it shouldn't be about, like you said, like, oh, you know, I need the greatest #1 single of all time in the history of the world. It should be about you giving what you love to us for us to love.
Yeah.
So I think like you said, it's so zen. And I wish like everyone felt the way about things. Then things would be a lot less stressful in the music industry.
So I think people who write, like people like say a Billie Eilish or a Lady Gaga, people that rise to the top and they kind of, you know, operate in that rarefied air of continuous, you know, success. They, you know, they have the sort of perspective, I think, to work from love. You know, like I don't think you can do that if you're working with goal-oriented, you know, kind of attitudes. I think you have to be working from like a place of the love of the craft, because people can smell disingenuousness, you know, and I think it's a repellent.
Very fair. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But once again, congratulations. And that's so exciting. So we're going to get 2 albums a year from you. You said 80 songs, and I'm sure they're all wonderful. And I can't wait to hear all of them.
They're mostly wonderful. Yeah.
Mostly. We'll take mostly. We'll take mostly.
Some of them aren't figured out yet, but you know.
So do you have any, I'm going to call it a ritual, but maybe that's not the best word for it. But when you're going down in the studio, getting ready to write, is there anything that you need to do before you're ready to, you know, go up to the microphone to record?
Well, every morning I do like a deep breathing, stretching kind of, it's kind of quasi yoga, qigong meditation thing in the morning. And so I do that. I do one in the morning and I do one in the afternoon, and that otherwise I get kind of like spinny and overloaded with ideas and, you know, like energy. I get too intense. One of the things I'm trying to mitigate is getting too intense in the studio. So I like to kind of flatten out my stress level, be real chill, be real open. And then it's just intuitive. Actually, what I do is I throw rough mixes on my little thumb drive. I put it in the car. I drive around and I make notes on my phone, like, you know, turn down the bass 2 dB or whatever. So I'll end up coming home with all these notes. I transcribe them. And then every day I just come in and look at the list of notes and go, oh, I'm going to work on that one. And oh, that's easy. Just turn the whole song up 1 dB. Okay, here we go. So I do this kind of like self-critique process that's always going on. And so I'm working on all 80 songs are being tended to to some degree at the same time. So I don't see a song through generally from inception to finish and then move on to the next one. I'm always working on a giant batch. That way I can get, because I'm working alone, I need perspective. You know, like one day I might think the lyrics are genius. And then in the car 2 days later driving around, I'm like, what am I saying? It doesn't make any sense. Or why is all that reverb and echo on the vocal? Get rid of that. So anyway, I need time to have perspective since I'm doing it myself.
What is it about like being in a car and listening to music that just makes everything sound so wonderful? I find like, because I'm an artist as well, and that's always the first thing I do when I record. I go right to the car and I'm like, you just hear everything, right? Like what do you think it is about being in that environment that just makes it so much easier to process?
Well, for me, I imagine, like I used to write, I haven't done this for a long time, but I used to write lyrics in public places. I'd go to like a Starbucks or a library or something, because I would always imagine, what if I had to stand up right now in this Starbucks and say all these lyrics? Would I be proud to say them? Like somehow people, like being around people kind of, uh, I used to be a busker in Boston and New York, and that was also like, you know, people were the test subject, or I was always, sort of bouncing the song off of actual people rather than being just squirreled away in my own little universe. And I think driving around in the car, I imagine, what if I had to pull over and gather a group and press play and play it for people, or just somehow hearing the music in the world makes me think about it in a way that's different than how I think about it when I'm just in my own head. So something's going on there. Yeah.
Right.
The only problem is I have a Prius, and the sound system in Priuses is bad news. There's a spike in the upper mids it just messes everything up. So if I get it to sound good in the Prius, I know it'll sound good everywhere else.
But I mean, I love that you have a Prius though, because the environment's important. So shout out to the Prius. Sorry about the mids, but maybe.
Unfortunately, the mice on my island here love my Prius too, and they set up shop in the Prius for like a year, and I finally found them, and I cleaned them out the other day. So
mice, you say?
Mice, yeah.
Okay. So are they just driven to your music or the car? What is it? Are you like the new Peter Pan and you're playing?
Yeah.
Who did it?
I knew they were in there to some degree. I thought they were just coming in for nesting materials and leaving, but they were actually making a nest. And so I do kind of like we drove to Colorado in May. So all these little mice families went to Colorado. And one time we were cleaning my car with a pressure jet at like a do-it-yourself car wash, and a little wet mouse came crawling out like, "Hey, what's happening?" And we were in Seattle, and we live on Vashon Island. So this poor little Vashon Island country mouse ended up wandering off in a parking lot in Seattle.
He's seeing the world. One day he might open Disneyland. Who knows? I mean, this mouse is making towns.
Mousy land, yeah.
Mouse, you never know. Well, okay, please pardon my like horrible corniness, but like I just have to ask this question this way. And since you mentioned that you did some busking, which is super cool also, and also you've had the opportunity to see the world, we know that Cleveland rocks, but I wanted to know, what are some of your other favorite cities?
Oh, Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Newcastle in the UK, Sydney and Melbourne in Australia. Love New York City. Love New Orleans. Love. I'm trying to think of other ones. San Francisco. Love. Lots of good cities in this world. But every time I come back to Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, I just go, oh, I just relax. It's amazing. I lived on the East Coast in Boston and New York for 9 years or so, and then woke up one morning and went, "What am I doing? I'm from Seattle. I got to go home." And I did. And I did. Actually, the President's First Record was really written right after that move, and it was sort of bottling that joy of being back in my hometown. It's in there, like in the DNA of that album.
Yeah. So. I mean, and that's also something that's so cool and should definitely be noted, that you got to come out of Seattle in like the greatest time of music history. That has to be so incredibly awesome. Do you have like a favorite memory or moment from, when you guys first began?
Yeah, there was a show we did. There was a festival there's a yearly festival in Seattle called Bumbershoot, which is an alternate name for an umbrella. And we were playing not at the festival, but at a club on Capitol Hill, the hipster part of town, during that weekend. And there was buzz around us a little bit, and we did this ASCAP showcase, and I did not know that this was the case, but there were a whole bunch of major label reps at this gig. And so that gig I always remember, not for how I felt during it, but for what I learned about how important it was afterwards. Because literally the next day we had 7 major label record, offers that we had to like all of a sudden put on our big boy pants and big boy hats and, stop hanging out with our friends all afternoon, barbecuing and playing with our Frisbees, and run a global concern. So that was a memorable gig because it changed everything. And fortunately, I had no idea that it was important. So we just did our usual high energy whacktastic funge explosion.
Heck yeah. And was there ever any alternate names that you guys were considering? Like any names that ended up obviously on the cutting room floor?
Yeah, there were a whole bunch. I don't remember. We had a really hard time finding a name for the band, actually. We had a thing where we would get together for a beer before practicing at the Comet where Jason worked. And our rule was you had to show up with 5 band names, and there were no like judgment. We would just say the 5 names, and we were looking for a positive reaction. We weren't looking to knock down each other's ideas. So we did that. And one time, one of my ideas was the presidents of the United States of America. And we all looked at each other like, that's so dumb. I think it's going to work. It has nothing to do with the music. It's 17 syllables long. It's ridiculous. You know, none of us will ever be the president of the United States of America. But before that, I think Dave and I played as a duo, and we fooled around with the dynamic duo was one name.
Okay.
We were the Dukes of Pop for a while, which kind of proto presidents. God, what was the other one? No, we didn't use Pure Frosting as a name. But I can't remember. Pure Frosting was, maybe we did. I think. Or was that an instrumental? It ended up being the title of one of our albums later, Pure Frosting. But I think we were called Pure Frosting at one point. I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
It's just something so magical. Just presidents of the United States. I mean, like, it's so good. It's magic. I love it so much.
Yeah, I do too. I love it because if people ask, what's your band name? And I say that, like back in the day, I would say that, and they would just brighten up. They would just be like, what? You know, like, so I think it captured our energy while not being on the nose, you know, like it made people feel good when we said it. So that was our MO back then.
I love it. So important. And okay, so pivoting again, your Instagram bio states that you are a ghost driving a meat-covered skeleton made of stardust. Relax. I think about this every day now. And I want to know where this came from because it's so deep, yet it's like, oh yeah, that's so true.
You know, I did not make that up. I read it somewhere. I added the relax. That's all I added.
Relax.
But I love you are a ghost driving a meat-covered skeleton. It's just true. It's kind of like the Matrix. It's like it's a Matrix statement. Like there is another reality that is happening concurrent with this one, you know, and maybe that's a little phrase that makes you see it for a split second, you know. So
yeah, and I was gonna say with like all these, I don't know whether you've been following like the James Webb telescope images that have been coming out the past couple of days, which are like so beautiful and just shows you like how vastly huge this universe is, and we're, you know, this big. Sometimes people just need to just take a beat. Calm down for a second. But have you seen the images, Chris?
I haven't actually. Now that you mention it, I saw one fly by on a Instagram feed or something that I was looking at the other day, but I didn't rest on it. So I need to look at those because I'm a big. I mean, whoa, Carl Sagan's Cosmos, which came out in the I don't know when, late 70s, early 80s, maybe. Sure. That changed my life. Like, totally turned me on. So I love space. I love it.
Yes. It's the final frontier, so they say. But it's really cool to see like the difference in the images taken from Hubble and now the James Webb telescope. It's just, yeah. After this, that's my homework to you.
Okay. I got homework. I love homework.
Yes. And so we talked earlier about your album that's releasing tomorrow that, of course, features your art. So was art always concurrent with your music, or did one kind of start first?
Well, I went to art school when I was 18 in New York because I didn't want to go to music school. I decided I don't want to. I loved music as much then as I do now, but I kind of just didn't want to know the secrets. I didn't want to understand the inner kind of geometry of music. I knew I wanted to arrive at my own destination intuitively. So I went to art school, and I'd been drawing a little bit in high school and stuff, but wasn't really considering, how to be an artist. And of course, I was 18 years old, 18 to 22, and I didn't really have a voice. I didn't have a perspective. So I just, and I never chose an area of concentration. I just like melted metal and painted paintings and made sculptures and just goofed off for 4 years and had a rock band, of course. And we played CBGBs a couple times, and Hilly Crystal said he liked my band. So that was kind of a like check, which was nice. But, yeah. So then many years later, so in college, I was doing these kind of flowy designs and these kind of amorphous forms, but I didn't know what they were. And only like 6 or 7 years ago, my wife and I were in Michigan in a bookstore, and she handed me a calendar of Inuit printmaking. And there was one artist, Kanojuak Ashevak, who just shot me like a bullet. Like these energy lines that I was drawing were in her art. It was like a bird, and it would have all these lines coming off of it that ended in more little birds. So it was kind of like she was seeing the energy inherent in everything, not really being as much representational, but kind of impressionistic of energy. And all of a sudden I was like, because I was at that point also into meditation and things like that. And all of a sudden I realized, and ego management, like talking to my voices in my head, the dialogue, the tennis match you have going on in your head all the time, like managing that, understanding it, ego management, I call it. So the ego management system that I was working on was very visual to me. And so I started drawing them. I started drawing these little schmoos that were living in my head. And then that just sort of started to snowball. And so for a few years there, I did art like almost all the time. And I've had a bunch of shows, and some of my art's on my website. You can just check it out. And I just keep it black and white because I can't handle color. I don't understand the vocabulary of color. I can't use it. And I'm trying to make this stuff really like almost like totems, or they're like visual representations of stuff I struggle with inside me. And so I figure if I keep them really neutral, maybe people will see them and recognize something in the sort of graphic representation of this interior world that everybody has. So that's kind of the idea. So right now I'm not doing any art. I don't have any ideas. I'm super into music. It just flows, like I don't know. Next week I might be all art and giving music a rest. You never know.
Well, your art is beautiful, and I think it's even more cool now that I know like the inspiration behind it too. So
thanks.
Well done. I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 more questions, and then we're going to play our game. So, okay. First question is, obviously you excel at many, many things, but what is a job or something that you would be terrible at?
Oh, elementary school teacher. Or middle school teacher. Let's put middle school teacher. First of all, I'd be terrified that they would like ignore me and just completely subvert my authority.
Okay.
Second, I would get so tired. Like kids, just the chatter of kids and like a big room full of children makes me so sleepy. I don't think I'd make it through the day. So yeah, my sister-in-law is a teacher, and I just think she's a hero. So. Yeah, teacher.
I'm with you. Shout out to all the teachers around the world. Y'all are heroes, and wow. Okay. Yeah. Interesting answer. I love it. Okay. And obviously music can severely affect our mood. If we're feeling a certain way in the morning, you could put on a song and it could change the way you're feeling instantly. So I want to know, what's a song for you that can instantly turn your day around?
Oh, Got to Give It Up by Marvin Gaye. Got to give it up. Oh my God. That song is, for a while there during the pandemic, it was not great to leave the house at the beginning. And so I would dance. I had these dance parties, and there's a like 10 or 11 minute live version of Got to Give It Up online. I can't recommend it enough. Go out and put it on and dance for the whole 10 minutes, and it will change your day and maybe your week and maybe your life.
Perfect.
Sometimes I put it on and I play piano along with it and just jam out. It's just so great. It's a great song.
I'm gonna do that like maybe after we move into our new house tomorrow, just to like
There you go.
get the vibes right.
Oh, it's so groovy.
10 minutes of cardio is pretty great too. So
Yeah.
I'm not neglecting that, you know.
That's all you need, people. 10 minutes a day. Got to give it up. Do it.
Done. I'm in. Count me in. Only because Jude wants to know, I hope this is okay to ask. There's a lot of theories on the meaning behind lump. So from the source, is there a meaning behind it or inspiration behind it?
Yeah, this is funny because really the song is about exactly what the lyrics say it's about a woman in a housecoat sitting in a river, confusing the piranhas. She's not very bright. She might be dead. I don't know why, but that's exactly what I saw. Like, it's a vision. It's just a weird vision that I had when I was improvising lyrics for the music, and it stuck. So it's sort of an abstract poem, but it's not trying to be symbolic. It's just exactly what it says is exactly what I see in my mind when I sing it. So there's it's funny because it's like completely descriptive, but nobody knows what it's about.
It speaks for itself. It's like you said, it is what it is. And it's so funny because in my like Spotify playlist, I have both Lump and Gump. Like, they come on every single time that I'm listening to anything. Both of those songs work their way into every playlist I have ever had on Spotify. And I as a Weird Al fan as well, as I mentioned earlier, probably I might have to say it's my favorite Weird Al parody.
Wow, that's a big statement, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it's my favorite. I mean, what a absolutely surreal treat to grow up. I mean, I was there when MTV flickered on in 1980 and watched it all day long with my friend. That we had a band together, and we just like watched and waited for something good, like, you know, Split Ends or something like that to come on. And Al was always a bright spot in those marathon waiting through, you know, like Kim Carnes' Betty Davis Eyes for the 500th time. So to then flash forward to him playing me in a parody video, like, jaw drop. That's just remarkable. So
I can't even imagine. I'm also super excited to see his film, counting down the hours. So
I know. That's going to be so weird. Daniel Radcliffe? What the? It's so weird.
We had Jonah Ray, who's like also, he's from Mystery Science 3000. So he's also a parody artist. He, I guess, makes an appearance in the film. And he said that Daniel Radcliffe is brilliant in it. So
I'm sure. No, I'm sure he is. It's just, he's not maybe who would I have cast as Weird Al? I'm trying to think. Maybe like Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. That's it. Not too shabby. I love Paul. He can do no wrong. So
right. I mean, I would have gone Paul Rudd before I went to Daniel Radcliffe. But hey, I'm not a casting agent, so
we'll see. We'll see when we see.
Okay.
But, okay, Chris. So I have a game. Unfortunately, it's not a game of let's make a deal, but hopefully this will suffice. This is a game of Would You Rather. There is literally no wrong answers. Whatever you choose is correct. And if you want to explain why you pick something, great. If not, that's totally fine too. So we're going to bring up the graphic, and here we go. The very first Would You Rather. Would you rather own an original lyric sheet written by John Lennon or own a guitar that belonged to John Lennon?
Absolutely guitar, because that guitar would have ghosts in it that I could coax out as songs.
Come on, John Lennon Ghost. Yes. Oh, one of the greats. Oh my goodness. Did you get the opportunity to watch what was it? The Get Back sessions that they...
I watched the entire thing twice, and I watched episode 2 probably 5 times, because that was like my favorite like part of the whole arc. I used to have it. I'd have it on in my studio. I'd work for a while on music, and then as I ran a mix, I would mute my speakers and just watch that. And it was like we were all working in the studio together. It was great. I absolutely loved Get Back. I thought it was just a brilliant rewriting of an unfortunately, badly represented phase of their career. So love it. Love it.
Same. Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Would you rather play a show using only Beck songs or play a show using only Frank Zappa songs? Oh my gosh.
Considering that I was in Beck's band for 2 tours, his first 2 tours of the US, definitely Frank Zappa. No, I'm kidding. Definitely Beck. Absolutely Beck. I mean, oh man, I adore his sensibility and songwriting and lyrics, and it felt like I'd found a long lost lyrical brother when we hooked up and hung out together back in the '90s. So yes, Beck.
Great choice. And I enjoy his hat in this photo as well. Okay, here's the next one. Would you rather collab with Guillermo del Toro on a music video or collab with Tim Burton on a music video?
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. I think because I'm more familiar with Tim Burton, I'm going to go with Tim Burton. Yeah. Uh-huh. Especially for the new stuff I'm doing. Man, if he could get a hold of my drawings and make them come to life and dance, that would be cool. You hear that, Tim? That's a challenge. Let's do it. Come on.
Tim, it's out there in the universe. Tim.
Okay.
We'll get him on the line. Okay, here's the next one. Would you rather perform with the first band you ever saw live or perform with the first artist whose album you ever bought?
Oh my God. I'd have to say the album I bought, because the first band I saw live was the Rolling Stones. And the first album I bought was Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. So I love the Rolling Stones, but I'm a deep down Beatle fanatic. So yeah. First album who's a first band who's artist. You know what I'm saying.
Yes, that one. Okay, now it's impossible, and I hate to ask this question. I'm going to ask it anyway. I know it's so hard to pick a favorite, but do you have a favorite, either Beatles song or Beatles album?
You know, the one song that never disappoints, and I'm excited from the beginning to the end, is I Saw Her Standing There. That whole way he just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, da, da, da. And the recording is so good. Some of the recordings back then are a little lo-fi, a little crushy and weird, but the sonics in that recording are just so spot on. That's the one Beatles song I it's like their Lump. For me, Lump was a song that I always loved playing. I never was bored. I was always completely right there. So for me, I Saw Her Standing There as the Beatles version of Lump.
Phenomenal song. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right. Here's the next one. Would you rather? Okay. So this is you on Let's Make a Deal. Would you rather dress as a former president to go on Let's Make a Deal or dress as a giant peach?
Definitely a giant peach. Absolutely. Any chance to anthropomorphize a piece of fruit, I will sign me up.
Yes, and that is quite the fruit outfit. It's reading a little orange, but that's okay. It's a peach now. Okay, perfect. Okay. 2 more. Would you rather collaborate with Larry David on an album or collaborate with Drew Carey on an album?
Well, since I already collaborated with Drew Carey on Cleveland Rocks, at the end of the recording, he goes, Ohio. Oh, that's him. Yeah. So I've already checked that box. And, recently Larry David made fun of the Peaches song on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I think I'm going to pick Larry David. I think we'd go head to head, and some more maybe I don't know, sort of intense music might come out of that collab. So
I would love to hear it. You and LD. Oh, what a dream.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the final one. This one's a little eccentric, but that's okay. So would you rather be a reverse merman or a reverse centaur?
Ooh, wow. I'm going to go centaur, because I think if you're a centaur, you could maybe go swimming, but you wouldn't have to be in the water all the time. So I think you get access to more environments as a centaur. Plus, if I were I'd become a male stripper if I were a centaur, basically.
As you should.
Right. Everybody would want to see what's going on down there.
I couldn't agree more. Get your dollar bills ready. Reverse centaur it is, my friend. Well, you did great. You got them all right. Congratulations. Cool. So before we release you back into the universe, any final thoughts you want to leave us with here today, Chris?
Final thoughts. Goodness. I don't know. I guess if I were to speak to other songwriters and aspiring performers and stuff, I would reiterate what we talked about earlier. Just like, enjoy what makes your day better. Don't think about the bronze carrot way out on the stick. Be present. Use love as your as the fuel in your engine, and good things will happen if you are taking care of yourself, and that means being present in the now of today, and because really the past and the future don't actually exist. So the only way there is through the tiny doorway of the now. So anyway, that's what I tell my kids. So that's what I'm telling you.
Well, thank you. And I will take that and use that. And once again, we want to mention tomorrow, which is the 15th, your new album, Primitive God, will be gifted to the universe. So thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, sure. You can get the album for free from my website, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. I have ambient music for meditation. I've got all these weird old cassettes I made in the 80s and 90s. All kinds of stuff. So just everybody go download everything at my website because it's fun.
That we shall. And one final thing before we do let you go, I'm going to go over our upcoming guests that we have coming up on Talkulture. So next Tuesday, we have Zach Good, who is the new singer from Smash Mouth. We're also welcoming Ming Chen from Comic Book Men. We have Shane Told from Silverstein, Bo Bice from American Idol. We have Cam Clark, who's the original Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles. We have two of the members of the Fab Four, Chris. I don't know if you follow the Fab Four, but they're amazing. I
love them. They played in Everett, and I couldn't go for some stupid reason. I love them. I love them. They're amazing. I want to go, and I want to sit in the balcony and blur my eyes, and that way they'll be very real.
Right, you just squint a little, but
they're very close. I don't think I have to sit that far back or squint my eyes that much.
Second row. Yeah.
Tell them hi from me, okay?
I absolutely will. We also have Liliac, and we also have Townsend Coleman, who is the original Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles, along with a lot of other guests. But Chris, this has been such an honor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the bandwidth to talk and yammer and hang out. And now I'm going to go to a dinner party and do more talking and yammering and hanging out.
Awesome. Well, be safe. In the Prius, I hope the mice are doing okay and that they've calmed down a little bit.
They peed all over everything, of course, and I don't have a very good sense of smell for a bunch of reasons, but my wife is just like, you got it. So I got this spray, and I just this morning sprayed the car, so I'm hoping that it doesn't smell like spray. But
yeah, better than pee, though. It's like you're almost like a Ghostbuster. You're extinguishing the mice pee. But on that note, enjoy the party. I know, what a better way to wrap it up. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Be safe, everybody. Au revoir.
Okay, mouse pee, everyone. Bye.